Good evening. Today, well, episode 95, we're almost at the 100 mark. Um, Today, I just wanted to kind of chat about what was on my mind and how I'm thinking through where I want to focus my energies and efforts. Like, in many cases, or in many ways, I think I've taken care of all like the worst case scenarios and that might happen in the business or in my life. And I'm grateful for that, for being at this stage. Um, and and also, bills continue to need to be paid, and like, futures need to be created. And I'm looking for, where do I apply myself naturally? Not that I may be naturally talented at that, but that I'm attracted to it in a way that it's exciting and I want to learn and continue building and contributing. And the trip to Token 2049 has, I think, opened that, like, really, 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 really made me face what that is. And I think for me, it's about Bitcoin and real world assets and bringing that in, bringing sound money impact to real world experiences or spending or assets. What does that all mean though? Like, we will continue to figure out, continue to learn, and it will evolve. But where we're at right now, I think, is in general, I've broken up the crypto world or blockchain world into four areas, where you have GameFi, ArtFi um, as an area of focus, or bridging and infrastructure as another area of focus, then stable coins and real world assets as a third, and then finally Bitcoin related things, or Bitcoin L2s as the fourth. Um, and I think most chains are kind of aggregating to each one in some way or form, particularly with a specific community or a particular group of users, or really enterprises that they are serving. For example, Hedera has a group of credit unions that they're working with and serve. So that's a or when it comes to Flow blockchain, they have connections to all the with to massive industry partners like Disney and Mattel, which allows them to really tap into GameFi at a brand level scale. In other terms, you could say like BitLayer, for example, has now a partnership, or Ondo, Centrifuge. These guys have partnerships with um, BlackRock and Franklin Templeton, right? So these are the big partners that really, I think, provide liquidity that allows them to move forward. And for everybody else, it's really, I think, about Bitcoin. It's about bridging to Bitcoin, bridging between chains, bringing it back to, um, you know, the source of all the sound money and where it all started. And this is something I really realized back in November, and I just keep seeing that show up again and again. So really doubling down on the Bitcoin real world asset opportunity. And I'd say there's two approaches here too, right? There's always a retail and institutional approach. With retail, it's more high tech, stable coin focused, um, and more peer to peer in many ways. And you really need to kind of create the bridges and stablecoin networks that will support that in Bitcoin self custody, though those things matter a lot. Then you have the institutional side, where they don't matter as much, and having good custodial partners, regulated institutions participate, have more traditional underwriting for regular assets. Those things are a bit more important. And we're going to have to kind of, it's easier to just be like, oh, I want to do this and focus on that, and that's all you do, right? Like, it's easy to say that, but you're never truly sure until you go out and get it. So we're just going to do a bit of both until something kind of starts popping up, or showing traction. It reminds me of what Gary Vaynerchuk, is that how you say it? says about like, you got to spin multiple plates and some are going to break, but like whichever you're kind of left with is the one that you want to work with. And there's many little small projects as part of achieving this goal, this mission of making Bitcoin business easier, right? Um, and we're thinking of like a dollar cost averaging, DCA Bitcoin purchasing scoring app, and that way kind of help show people, show institutions that you have like a regular history, or a history of regular payments, for example, right, to acquire Bitcoin, but you might want to acquire a car next. And then also like a loan aggregation site that I think will help you kind of compare and contrast between all the available providers. There's many parties participating right now. So that might be a great way to kind of bring in some customers, just get conversations going. I think there's a very interesting conversation in general about like, retiring on Bitcoin. It's gotten a lot of traction on like a Reddit post that I had made. In fact, someone had asked me to send them a link for it. So I'm going to go look that up and send them a link right after this. And as I mentioned, like there's also potential for like playing a bridged Bitcoin role and see where that leads. At the end of the day, I see these all as like primitives in the Bitcoin ecosystem that we might want to have some expertise or some domain knowledge about. And they may not all grow into, like they could all be businesses on their own, startups on their own, and they may not be the area that we end up focusing on. But I think having that domain knowledge really sets you up as like, you have one that you can multiply something with instead of zero that you can't multiply anything with. And that's how I'm approaching all of these. So landing page upgrade it's a priority and should be ready by next week, allowing for like a more transparent order book to show up and that we can integrate the rest of these things in. Really proud of Izzle and the work he's been doing in exploring how to use Sparrow Wallet to sign things. Or really the goal is to get people to use wallets that they're comfortable with instead of having to set up and trust a new wallet that they have to use. And then another part of our explorations right now are the USD rails. Like how do we get USD to people? Like if it's retail and peer-to-peer USDC, then we're going to have to use, are we going to use BitLayer? Are we going to use Hermetica USDH? Are we going to use Ducat? That's still undecided, but it does seem like just basic USDC on Ethereum might be the easier answer right now. Meanwhile, for actual USD, like bank USD, we're looking at Mercury. We have a Mercury account, and they have pretty good APIs now. Still, banks are. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to like the banks having released and allowed for, really allowed to custody or deal with Bitcoin related business. And still, I know they're pretty skeptical still. So at the end of the day, as long as we have it like as a self-custody Bitcoin, we're not holding any Bitcoin. We're just doing like a lending service. It should be a lot easier to operate and run. So that's with Mercury and Stripe for being funded and getting repayments done quickly and on time, so that the time locks that we have for Bitcoin collateral does not expire. It's going to take some trial and error, but we have many peers to learn from, and we're excited to kind of be working and operating in the space. So you're going to see more updates every day. And I need to actually send out a quarterly update, so I'll do that. And we're adding a few advisors, Trubs, Fonzie, and expanding work. Hopefully, this is stay more in touch with Liquidium, and of course, we're part of the Bitcoin Startup Lab. So we'll be at Bitcoin Las Vegas. Looking forward to kind of share our work so far. Really tap into the strategic conversations we've been having to get some seed money to get started as we work towards building up the community and really hashing out all the pieces for our success. Thanks for listening. Bit of a long one.